moment.
What's my most embarrassing moment? Oh boy, that's
Yeah.
gonna be good.
What is it?
Well, right now. You want to know right now, or are we gonna wait till later on? Are you?
You want me to tell? I'll tell you mine.
What?
So I was on some shrooms. This is earlier.
I love it. I love it already. I love it. Go ahead.
I was on some shrooms, right? It's the 4th of July. I'm with my guy. You know, I got done eating barbecue with the family and everything, and my guy hits me up. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go shoot some fireworks off. We're gonna stop at the bootleg fireworks and get some fireworks." I'm like, "All right, cool." Then we're gonna head out to this camping ground and we're gonna set them off. We're gonna have fun. Okay, cool. So but we get the fireworks and he hands me the shrooms. I'm like, I never did them before, so I took them. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna have some fun. Now I get in a trip. We're out here. Mind you, I'm thinking fireworks like he's just gonna get some legal fireworks, but everything he got was illegal, like big ass Roman candles, quarter sticks of dynamite. So we're going out. Yes, it's crazy. So this is back when, you know, we wore bigger clothes. Like our clothes weren't so snug. So, and my belt broke. So I had to hold on to my pants the whole time. So we get out there, everything's going cool. It's a fun time. We're having fun, and then it's time to shoot the fireworks. Of course, this is when the shrooms really kick in. So I'm standing there and I'm looking up at the sky, shooting off Roman candle. Everybody's like, everybody's having a great time.
Yeah.
And then I get stuck in a trip where I'm just like, wow, look at that. And then I drop, my shorts drop. Bang. So I'm standing there. This is back when we were wearing slingshots, tighty whities and stuff like that.
So you're wearing.
So I'm stuck there, just looking at
stuck looking at the sky, down with your drawers just hang. Like, you know, you're wearing tighty whities. Is that what you're saying?
I was wearing slingshots, bro. There was no boxers. It was out of control. So a lady comes up to me. I'm just standing there looking, and she's like, "Hey, you know and I went to go pull them up, and it rained that day. So you know when it rains, but it's summer, so everywhere's gonna dry. But we're out on a campground, so you know, like there'll be a puddle in the dirt area where everybody drives. Mm-hmm. So I went to go pull up my pants, and I started to strip and went forward for about 10 yards and planted right in the puddle, bro. And all I did was turn over and look up at the sky at the fireworks a little longer. It was out of control. But I wasn't embarrassed then because I was fucking tripping. I was on shrooms. But the embarrassing part was they had it all on tape and showed me it the next day.
Oh, you know, if it were today, that would have went viral, bro. It would have been around.
I would have been everywhere because I had mud all over me, and I just rolled over in the puddle and looked up at the fireworks and stayed there for a while until my man came and got me up. And they just clowned me for like that lasted the rest of the summer. I got clowned every time they seen me, so I couldn't avoid that. But I was like, that was pretty much like, you know, you get little embarrassed, but I was embarrassed because they had it on tape, and it's got to be out there someday. So sometime when we get up there, I already told the viewers and everything, so it don't shock them. But when they see it, it's going to be funny. That might pop up sometime.
Oh, man. Okay, so I guess if we're going to do this embarrassing story deal here, okay, so mine it wouldn't probably be like at the level of embarrassment, but it was at hindsight. It's like one of those things where, like, as you get older, you just kind of cringe at, right? So it was like, oh God, it was Valentine's Day. I was in like, I believe I was in 8th grade at the time. And so there was this girl that, well, like, I don't know, I was a really nice kid. So like I would always give out like these really like, so Valentine's Day comes around, I gave out these things, I'd call them Devon bucks. And I would hand them out to, and I would say, "Hey, bro, you gave me,
you had your own cash."
Yeah, I was my own currency. That's how, because you could buy me, you know. But anyway, as I was saying, was what happened was, I gave out these things called Devon bucks. But there was this one girl that I really, really, really had a crush on, right? And so what did I do? In the one closet at my dad's house, there was a dress that was my sister's dress. And I took it and I gave it to this girl that I liked, and she was like, "Wow, thanks, Devin."
You gave her a dress?
That wasn't even mine. Like, it was like I stole a piece of clothing that wasn't even mine and gave it to some girl that I liked, and then everybody was like, And here's the thing, like in the moment, I didn't see it. Like in hindsight, like I wasn't even embarrassed a little about it. But like whenever I brought it back and like think about it, I'm like, what a fucking, what a fucking.
But what was
like
behind what was behind you taking your what was the goal of giving her the dress?
Maybe she'd like me. I don't know. You know,
so you're like, here's the
socially,
dress,
huh?
So you were like, here's a dress.
Yeah, right. I was like, here's a dress, and she's just like, oh, thanks. I didn't ask for this, and she didn't. Here's the thing: she didn't decline it. She kept it. She kept it. She probably still has that fucking thing to this day. And all the teachers, I remember all the teachers, and it wasn't like one of those dresses where it was like a prom dress, you know what I mean? It was like one of those like, you know, kind of like short dresses with like, it was like white and black, and it was like 2 straps. I don't know. It would have went like just a little bit below thigh level.
Wow, bro, you were bugging.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't the smoothest. I just remember all the teachers like looking at me, and I just like, what? Like, why are you looking at me like that? And
because you just gave her a dress, bro. I've never thought that was kind. Was she creeped out? She was creeped out. Did she like stay away from you, or did it work?
Well, no, it didn't work. And no, she wasn't creeped out then. It was whenever I was so persistent, you know, because I had no social construct that women needed space, you know. So because I was bugging her like, hey, how's it going? Oh, hi, you know, that real awkward 8th grade phrase of your life. So yeah, right. I will remember that for always, and right. And I can't live. The sad thing is, it's one of those things where like you can't live down, not because someone else will remind you every day, because I don't even see any of those people anymore on a daily basis or even a yearly basis. But I just know that I did that, and like that's what it's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like if you look back at it and just shake your head, that was an embarrassing moment. If you just be like, "Damn, I can't tell nobody," but it's too late. You just told everybody. You just told everybody. But it's gravy. It's one of those things.
Yeah. So what's up, BTG? How's it going, everybody? It's Devin here, your guy coach. Oh my, is that an ant on my drink? He better not be in my cup. Sorry, I got some OJ. I'm sipping some OJ mixed with nothing because it's Monday, you weirdo. Coach, what are you drinking?
Some freaking coffee, man. I need to wake up a little bit. I was like drowsy. I've been up since like early in the morning, making moves, just looking at stuff, checking on things, and I got to wake up a little bit. So now that we're on, we'll get into it.
Yeah, I mean, let's. So what do we got on deck today, Coach? What are we talking about?
We're gonna talk about that Eric how do you say his name? Porterfield.
Eric Porterfield,
the delegate from West Virginia, about his comments on his kids and the LBGT community. Well, that was out of control. We'll get into that, and then we're gonna get into the Aurora. Is that how you say it? Aurora.
Yeah, Aurora,
Illinois. Aurora, Illinois shooting, and then we're gonna talk about that 11-year-old, which I thought was very weird, that got arrested for not standing for the pledge. So, and then we'll talk about anything else in between. So that's pretty much what we're gonna get into.
Okay, cool. So I want to start with Little Boy Blue and the Pledge of Allegiance. So the story is, from what I read, that he basically like said, I'm not, and he was like 11. Isn't the kid 11 years old?
Right. Yeah, he was 11.
He's 11 years old, and he's going to stand up for the Pledge of, or he's going to say, you know, like, I'm not standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and yada, yada, yada. And then the teacher's going to argue with him, and then they got to go grab people in the front office to, you know, argue with them back. And it just sounded like a mess. Right. But the real mess comes whenever he gets arrested. Am I not mistaken? He gets arrested? He gets sent to juvenile detention?
That's the mess. How do you arrest 11-year-old kid for something like that? I don't get it. I didn't get into the law part about it. Apparently there's a law about that in Florida, I guess, or wherever. This happened in Florida. It happened in Florida, so I guess there's a law if 11-year-old don't, you're going to the Bing. You're going to the box. Walk the green mile because you didn't stand for the. I don't get it. So I didn't get to see the law part of it. I just read the story, and it just like I didn't understand it. the charge? Like, I think they said disturbance. He caused a disturbance in school, but to me, I cause disturbances all the time. I just had to go to the principal's office. Sometimes you get a call from your mom, and I'd have to go home and get an ass whooping for being an idiot. But I don't see how they're forcing people to do that. I guess in Florida you can. Is that what we're saying?
Mm, is that what we're saying? Are we saying that? No, I don't think it's right. I don't think either way you look at it, that it's right to arrest somebody over them standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance. No, in no way, shape, or form. But I mean, some punishment come from home, of course, depending on if it's your
It depends on what was it. Was the kid disrespectful?
Yeah.
That's the only punishment you would get from if it was my kid and he was 11 and he was because apparently the kid had strong feelings, so he was having these conversations with members of his family. So it was a belief that they have as a family where he got it from. So, but if he was disrespectful to the teachers or the principal or anybody that was involved with it when he was saying what he was saying, would be the only time he would get a punishment from me.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's more of the respect factor. I think, I mean, because, honestly, it shouldn't be, it really just shouldn't be that way anyway, where a kid should just be able not to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance if he doesn't want to. Do you know what I mean? And there'll be people that say, well, Devin, then no kid's going to want to do it. And if that's the case, then it's just going to make me go, well, then why do it?
Yeah, I don't see
why
how
even do it
to.
in the first place, because to me,
Yeah.
Pledge Allegiance is almost like a nationalist kind of thing where it's like I pledge allegiance to the flag, and I don't think that's like of the United States of America. It just feels like this kind of like I don't know, like it's icky kind of thing where you're making a commitment to your country and yada yada yada, which I am
If it's
committed to my
forced,
country.
if it's forced,
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't gonna bother me if I'm in a classroom and people are doing it. I had to do it. I went to a Catholic school. It wasn't done in the public schools I went to. When I went to a Catholic school, I can't even remember if it was like you just automatically did it because everybody. I don't think I really understood it. I was like in the third, fourth grade. I thought it was just everything everybody did. It wasn't a forced issue. I never seen anybody like have that issue, but it wouldn't bother me knowing what I know now if somebody wanted to do that and that was just part of something that, I mean, like they're not forcing me to do it. They say, hey, but we're not going to say that the kids that want to do it can't do it because you don't want to do it. That type of thing.
Yeah, well, it might come from the misunderstanding that I think kids maybe don't know that they don't have to do it. They sit there and they'll be, it says, all right, the announcements come on. Usually that's how it goes at any other school. The announcements come on. They say, stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. And then someone over the intercom says, I pledge allegiance, like either the secretary or some kid that they grab from the classroom, say, hey, today you're singing the Pledge of Allegiance, middle school, even high school. This is how it goes down. And, in the classroom, we all just get up and do it. But, the thing is maybe we don't realize that we don't have to do it. Some people don't have to. It's just because we've been doing it since we were first grade even. Every day you're doing the Pledge of Allegiance. You get to school and then you go, little Mikey, stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. And everybody stands up for the Pledge of Allegiance, put their hand over their heart, and they just do that every morning, or stand up.
Are you saying that you've done that all your life, like in your school system
Yeah.
from where you're at?
Yes.
From where you're at, you've done that all the way up through high school?
Yep.
Oh, that's not like here's the bridge in the gap moment. We're in they're not doing that in the inner city. Maybe some schools are.
Mm-hmm.
The schools that I went, I don't know about now because we have that gap in age. Maybe that is something that people do, but I have not, I don't know. Like, is that something that people do nowadays? I don't think so. Not in the public schools in the inner city. I don't think they do that.
Yeah, well, that might be the difference between you and I, because I mean, I've only had one kind of school, and that's rural, and then maybe the suburban whenever I went to state college. But even in state college, when I went to school up there by Penn State, same principles up there. You just pledge allegiance every morning.
I wonder, do they do that? That's interesting. If anybody knows out there that's on our feed, man, let us know if that's what's happening in the schools right now. Is that something that they're telling people or that they're actually doing and you have to do it? I'm not even sure because I didn't have enough time to research all this. I just seen it, read it, And I just said, that's kind of awkward. Is this like Florida? Because we know Florida does things different. And it didn't surprise me that it was Florida that this happened, but I'm just like, it got me to thinking while I was moving around through the day. I just couldn't research it. Is like, is that really happening in every school? Because I can guarantee you, like, I don't think it's happening in inner city schools. I really don't. I don't think that that would cause like a lot, because there's so much things going on that they're not even gonna. It's not the hill they want to die on, because in the inner city they got enough things going on in the inner city, and they don't want to die on that hill.
That's not our fight. That's what they're saying. Is like, we don't want. Listen, we already got enough fights in the inner city. Like, let's not add some more fuel to the fire. Like, let's just start the school day for goodness sake.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say about just the whole situation? I mean, from my perspective, is that when you have kids that are doing that their whole lives, we don't question it. It just becomes habit. I go to school every morning. I wake up. I say I gotta do the Pledge of Allegiance. And to circle back to Florida, Florida has laws against tying, alligators to fire hydrants. It's illegal to do that. So, I mean, there's weird laws for everything. I don't know about like the state Pennsylvania laws that would pertain to standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you or can't you? Which I don't think that's what the kid was thrown into juvie for. I believe it was because he's making.
I think it was disruption. Yeah, and
disrupting the classroom.
And I think that the way the teacher challenged him, it's not something that you do. You like, okay, I see the issue. I'm pinpointing the issue. I might have from years of coaching, I learned this, like, you're going to get a reaction if they're in front of their peers and you say something. And apparently he was saying to the kid, like, I'm from Cuba. I came here. And he actually said out of his mouth that if you should go somewhere else to live if you didn't like that. That's not verbatim, but he said something in that effect. And he said, I came from Cuba. I'm here. If I didn't like what was going on here, I would go back to Cuba. But that's not something you say to an 11-year-old kid.
Well,
You're not talking to his...
An 11-year-old kid, how is he going to, if he doesn't like the country, how is he going to leave?
Yeah, you can't. What is he going to do? All right, Mom, we got to go because I don't like it. You know what I mean? Mom's going to be like, shut the up and go do what I'm telling you to do.
Go clean your room or something and get back to me. But maybe save up your allowance money and we can move to Canada. But we can't leave. I got a job and family here.
And I think it might have arose from him challenging him in front and saying some things, because I mean, I've done it a lot of times in coaching where I catch myself where I'll pull the kid to the side and then we can have a conversation. But if you say something in front of his peers that might offend him or might like joke on, or you know what I mean, just that type of thing, he's gonna bite back because he don't want to look funny in front of his peers, because like we talked about our embarrassing moments, he would never hear for the rest of the day. He's gonna hear all that from the teacher, you know what I mean? And so I'm thinking that's what sparked it all. And he might have said some things out of pocket instead of just removing the kid from the situation and then maybe sit down, maybe make the call to the parents and figure the situation out.
Yeah, well, usually when it was anytime there was a disruption in class or a kid was disrupting class in anything that we have ever done, the cops were never called ever. It was just get out of the classroom, go to the office.
You need to go to a city school, bro. It was cops in our school. We got a police station in our school. There's cops on duty. They have their own little police station in our school.
Yeah. We had the cops. We had the cop in the school. Don't get that to us. We had a cop that would come in the school, and he might not be there all day, but he was in there. And the cop station was just down the road. But we never had to use the cop. Like, the cop never had to be used for anything. He was just there in case something happened. You know what I mean? Like, in case anything were happen. But
right.
And then we did have some kids that like ran, and like they were just being pricks, making gun threats or bomb threats or whatever back in the day. And that's why, like, after that happened, we had to have the cop was there like pretty much like the last 3 years I was in high school. He was like there like once a day, like in there for like 3 or 4 hours.
And that's one of the things, like, because in those rural areas, right, those are the most where the school shootings are happening. In our schools, it's more like you're not going to really catch somebody that's going to say they're going to shoot up the whole school. They're looking for somebody specific. If a gun is involved or if a weapon is involved, that means they had a beef. It's just something that doesn't happen in the inner city like that. And I think in your rural areas that you guys are on would be like the high alert for you guys if somebody mentions the word gun.
Yeah, right.
It
Well,
would be
no,
handled probably totally different.
it depends. It depends on how you're handling. You're saying the word gun because I mean I live out in Hicktown, Pennsylvania, so you know people are like, yeah, they're talking about guns every day. There are people talking about their yacht and their Glock and their whatever, but not for shooting each other purposes, but because hey, we're gonna go shoot our guns after school, or hey, we're gonna go hunting, you know,
Yeah,
on Friday. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like after whatever
yeah,
first day of deers
yeah.
today or
Right.
tomorrow.
Yeah, those conversations are, yeah, they're gonna, yeah. When I was saying gun, I was definitely saying it in that manner.
Oh,
Like
like if someone says,
somebody's like, I'm gonna shoot up the school. Is pretty much I was paraphrasing with just the
oh,
word gun.
okay.
We definitely know in that, like you guys talk about hunting and going out shooting over the weekend and stuff like that. It's just not, you know what I mean? It's totally
Totally
that is
different.
like
Totally different than yeah.
it
I get what
is
you. I get what you're saying.
totally it's totally different, totally scenarios like, and I just think that's what happened. I just think that the teacher probably handled it wrong, and he was on his this is America, probably one of those type things, and he was like just on that side of the fence of it, like you're disrespecting in it instead of following whatever policy and that's what I'm confused about. Like, is there a policy to if a kid is like, and do we is Florida one of those states that are heavy, like how can I say that, probably like Trump supporters that are feeling like
Consider
that it
yeah.
did.
Yes. You know that there's a lot of videos I've seen, a lot of headlines. Like I'm like the one there was one black kid that was going to school and it was gonna be a Christian school because he didn't want his son going to the public school, but because he got new dreads done, that they couldn't have that hairstyle in there. You know,
Oh yeah, I remember seeing it.
yeah, and I was just like, wow, like a hairstyle, really? And I get the private school dress code thing, but it's like, you know, it's like it's just his hair. Like, you know, let him in here.
Right. Yeah, but it's just those things. It's, I mean, if it's in the if it's something that they just didn't pluck out of the air because maybe they're attacking the kid or the culture or something like that, there's really nothing. I mean, that wouldn't even bother me in any sense. I would have to have that fight by reading the rules, doing my due diligence, because if they handed you a piece of paper that said your hair's got to be this, that's your responsibility to
Ability,
make sure
yeah.
that's done. So, I mean, I wasn't sure about that the way that was handled, but it does seem like Florida is like wacky with some of the things that they do. They go overboard with
Hmm.
some of the things that they do in the school system and just overall, well, like Florida wasn't the story we had, the crazy story about that we proved was wrong. Didn't they say it
Out
happened in
of Florida,
Florida?
yeah. Well, it's the reason why they use Florida is because I mean, you could say anything about Florida, and someone would probably believe that something crazy like that happened in Florida. I mean, there's real stories about the people eating the faces off bath salts and stuff that come out of Florida. Like, that stuff is crazy. I mean, Florida is just a whack place. You know, I mean, really,
And I think that might have a lot to do with it too. A lot of drug use down there because it's a port.
yeah.
You're getting all you're it's the tip going out of the United States that's coming besides Mexico, probably one of the biggest ports in New York, and probably ahead of New York City about stuff that comes in, and they're probably getting all kinds of crazy drugs, so
Yeah,
they
well,
are
I mean,
doing
you gotta think
weird
about
ass
it.
shit.
You gotta think about it. Mexico, South Carol or South America, and Cuba, all real close to that tip of that peninsula. You know.
Yeah, they're using it, trust me, and they're probably getting some fucking crazy shit, some Flocka or something. They're taking
Well,
Flocka down in Florida and doing weird shit.
I was
Like
sitting
you
here.
gotta stand, huh?
I was sitting here thinking about like an episode of Miami PD or something. Just like that's even though it's dramatized, part of me thinks that is the daily for them down there. It's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go get these 15 guys that are like, you know, drug cartel dudes every day. You know, they never
Yeah,
run out.
it's wild. We're gonna have to wait to see how it unfolds. I just don't think that the article had enough information on what happened after that and what exactly. I just don't see 11-year-old unless you did something violent that you should be put in handcuffs and taken down to the police station. Maybe a scare tactic if you're stealing or something like that. Because we had ran a program with that. If you did something, um, if it wasn't violent, like we use it as a scare tactic, work with the police and the parole officers for younger kids, and take them down there, put them in a cell, and give them that 10-minute scare type thing. I've done it with my own daughter for her fighting,
Mm.
so and that kind of worked. So I just can't see that, like, if it wasn't
Oh
one of
my
those.
goodness. I'm just picturing you taking your daughter down to like the police station, like all right, you want to fight? well, we're calling the cops, and we're gonna go to the cops. She's like, no. We're like, all right, let's go. Then you was like, well, how old was she? Was she like younger or like middle school age or?
She was like 12. She was just fighting a lot. Actually, I didn't take her down there.
Oh.
The school police had her in custody, and they called me to come get her. Mm-hmm. And I said, I can't get there right now. And they said, well, all the schools is let out. What do you want us to do? I said, can you just take her downtown and put her in the cell? And I'll be down in like 20 minutes.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And they understood it. They were like, yeah, we can do that. And then just, treat her like a perp. Let her see it. You know what I mean? Let her see what's going on.
Give her the razzle dazzle. Give her.
And I knew the guy. I actually knew the guy because we ran a program also because it was called Blue Coats, where like people like me that are in the community and coach kids, I would go to the schools. I was just at another school, and we would be outside and stop fights and stop things from going on and just work in between the police in the school and be more, so I could approach it differently to get the kids not to do anything instead of just seeing police and coming at them. So I knew all the people. I said, just take her down there, put her in the cell. I'll come down. When I got down there, I pretty much were like, you're screwed. There's nothing I can do for you right now. Bolted out for a couple minutes. By the time I came back in, she got the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
well, this is a good segue, I think, into the second Aurora shooting that happened, because it's not just this isn't the first one. This is the second one that happened out of there in the past, I believe, 5 years after they had the Aurora shooting down there, and it was like 12 people, but this time it was 5. But I think the first Aurora shooting, it was like teenage kids, wasn't it? It wasn't like
I think that was like a school type setting.
Yeah.
We saying like on saying that like okay like. What was exactly that he was, like I said, I didn't get to really look into it, but I know it happened. What exactly are they saying? Like, what was his reasoning behind it?
Well, they don't know everything yet, to be honest with you. Like, I have the thing pulled up here. I'll go ahead and look it over. But they don't know everything. They said a disgruntled employee who fatally shot 5 people, wounded 5 officers at an Illinois warehouse Friday, severely beat a woman years ago. Right, so he was already a felon, and the real story that's kind of picking up the heat with this one is that he had a gun and he was already a convicted felon, bringing attention to why gun laws are kind of like, like how we always talk about the gun's not the problem, because even if you ban guns, the people that shouldn't have them are still gonna get them.
So, and I guess somebody said that they tracked the person down that sold it to him, and he didn't do the proper paperwork, and he was able to get past that, I think is what it said.
Yeah, and they need to, you could do gun reform, but straight out gun bans I don't think is going to work, was what I think the article that we were talking about was getting to. But, whenever you look at everything, they're not exactly sure what the motive was.
I'm looking at it right now. It had something to do, they were firing him after 15 years. Of work, and they brought him into, and I guess a couple of the people that were killed were just like interns.
Yeah.
So they had the interns in there while they were going to fire this guy.
Yeah, well, according to Washington Post, this is what it says was investigators have said little else of that would explain the shooting spree, including why Martin was fired. So he was fired from the job. But outside of that, they don't have any ammunition on like why any motive.
I think he knew he was. I think there was probably an incident. We don't know what the incident is. Mm-hmm. They said they would have to talk to you. You pretty much know when you're going to be fired. So they brought him in to have that conversation with him, and that's where he's going into this conversation thinking, hey, if they fire me, this is what I'm doing. So whatever happened in between, I think he knew he was going to be fired, or he was going to be reprimanded or fired, and he had it in his head: if they fire me after 15 years of being here, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. So that's what it kind of sounds like. But like you said, we're going to have to find more.
But it's crazy how a man could just go crazy. He loses his job somewhere. He's working for 15 years, and he just says, you know what? I'm just going to shoot up the place, And there are people out there that are mentally unstable like that. And he had a history. He beat his girlfriend back when they were like 18 or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I see that in Mississippi. Yeah, and the thing that I got out of it too, because I remember seeing this about the guy that sold him the gun, and I think like when we're talking about, I never believe in taking away guns. You should be able to have what the government has because that's what the Second Amendment is for, to protect yourself from the government, not just to walk around and have guns. It's to protect yourself against that. And I think there should be stricter things because, from my understanding, he sold the gun to him in a parking lot, like out of his trunk. Those type things should not happen. You should have to go into a place and get properly vetted before you get that gun.
Yeah,
You
or
know
a
what I
or
mean?
a or a public like a public venue. Like there has to be like a place. There has to be someone who witnesses, kind of like how the state, like when you sell a car to somebody,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Where like the same concept with a gun is like it's not like a just a personal item. Where like it doesn't matter. No one needs to keep track of how you sold it or who it went to. They need to know, like, there needs to be like someone who was like a witness to it, like a government, not a government official, but a state official or someone,
Somebody
or
like
like
a notary
a
type
notary.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even. I mean, it's harder for me to give away a gift of cash money to people without the feds being on it, IRS being on it, than it is. It's harder to do that, and they're on you way more about that, about giving money away to like a gift to somebody with like if you got to report it tax wise and all that, than it is to go get a gun, bro. And this is the problem here, right here, is that if he didn't do the proper vetting and he's selling out of the back of his car, that's like a back alley deal to me. That reminds me of street shit that back in the day, the shit that we used to like. He didn't have no concern about that.
Yeah, right. Like the guy he was selling the gun to, I mean, he didn't even care. He's like, well, what you do with it is what you're gonna do with it. I'm just gonna be the guy who's selling you the gun. I don't care what you do with it after that. You're illegal. I get it. I mean, what kind of gun was it?
I don't know. I didn't get to see what type of gun it is, and I think
Yeah,
I
let me
closed
double check
the
and
thing.
see that too, because whatever I'm kind of curious as to what kind of gun he sold him, because if he sold him like like some kind of semi-automatic like handgun or something, like you'd have to almost start thinking like, well, what was the, like, you as the person selling him the weapon, you have to almost be thinking, what was the purpose? Like, why was he selling him that particular weapon? I mean, it'd be different if someone goes, yeah, man, I want to sell you my hunting rifle, like my bolt action hunting rifle. But whenever someone asks for like that semi-automatic weapon, like sells you that, like me as a person who's selling my gun has questions.
Yeah, well, he's not selling his gun. He's selling multiple guns throughout.
Oh,
He's a gun dealer. He
he was
didn't
a
sell
dealer.
him a. Yeah, he's a gun dealer. You know what I mean? He wasn't just selling a gun like, oh, I have an extra gun, I'm selling it. He's been selling guns. This is what he's known for, and he just didn't do the proper vetting on him. How it slept, what's got through the cracks, I'm not sure. I'm sure that's going to come out. I'm sure he's going to be, his name's going to be all over once the police let that out. So it's just one of those things. Like you shouldn't be able to sell a gun, license or not, in a parking lot.
No,
You shouldn't.
you
You
should
shouldn't
be
be
able
able
to
to
do the parking
pull
lot.
up. It's got to be at some kind of, like you said, a gun show thing like they have and stuff. And that's even one of those things where they get rid of because they're making a living off of doing this stuff. So they're selling multiple guns to multiple people. So their mind ain't, oh, is this guy whacked out? Of course, if he's in there whacked out and he's talking crazy like he's going to take over the government, that's red flag. They're going to red flag it and go through the proper procedure. But if a guy comes in there calm, because not all crazy people that get to this point of going off are noticeable. You know what I mean? They're not noticeable. They just the normal people that are coming to get a gun. And what I find thing about this, like, why is that the go-to thing now to shoot some shit up? Like, can we blame that on like social media on how they're saying, like in his head, he's thinking, oh my God, I'm about to get fired. So he's thinking, if I'm getting fired, his plan, he probably went through a couple scenarios and he picked to shoot up a school. I mean, to shoot up
His
the
place of
job
work.
site.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we saying that if this wasn't happening a lot, would he would have chose something else? Maybe he would have just went after the problem or the guy or something like that, because I kind of think like that's the go-to for everybody now.
Yeah, blame everybody else, not yourself, for the problems that you're having, or blame everybody in the institution, not just the one guy who was in charge. I get what you mean. I think what it takes to be a shooter, well, he is a mass murderer. I mean, once you kill more than, 2 people, I think you're a mass murderer at that point. You killed more than, a duo. To be that kind of person requires, I think, a mental stability or a mental, or not even it doesn't have to be a mental disability, but like a loss of touch with one's reality or the reality they live in, because you got to be thinking like you've almost like you have to have no sympathy at all, period. Like, you know what I mean? Because you got to think about it, because if me and you were thinking about, and that we're not. I want to clear this up for the FBI in case they're watching. I
ain't thinking about shit. Don't come looking for me.
I'm not thinking
Dev
about
said
nothing.
it.
But I'm saying that
Dev said it.
If I'm thinking about it, the first thing that's going to come into my mind is, like, what is everybody else going to think of me? Like, whenever I do something like that. I could be so mad, but, like, even at that point, there'd be a part of me like, nah, it's not worth killing killing people over. It's not worth it because, how the rest of the world's going to feel, and, people are going to see me as this monster, this murderer. But you almost have to lose touch with that, because you got to think that guy, he had to have liked somebody at this place of work, right? There had to be someone that was nice to him, or his buddy that he sat with at lunch, You would like to think that anyway. Yeah. And then he's going to go in there.
Yeah, you're out of touch.
Yeah, and he had to kill all those, kill those people, just shoot them. And they weren't even people that particularly even did anything directly to him, Mm-hmm. And you have to, and that's what I mean by, like, not just losing touch with oneself, but reality, because he wasn't even thinking like that. It's just like, nothing in this world even matters to me anymore.
Yeah, you're out of touch, bro. That's not reality. Like, if I have an issue and I know whether I fucked up or it was a situation where I feel like I'm being wronged in a situation, and okay, I'm about to lose my job of 15 years. I get the frustration, but it's not taking me to say, if they fire me, I'm about to shoot up a school. It might take me in my head to say, I'm about to whoop this dude's ass because he's taking my job, and maybe, it'll take me to that point. Will I actually do it? It depends on where I catch him at.
Yeah.
Or where I definitely wouldn't do it in that scenario, because not only would I be taking, okay, now I got to go home, I don't have a job. Now I'm going to be downtown and I'm going to be going through trial, and it's going to turn into a 5-year thing. So yes, like you said, you think these things through before you say it, because the people that do this type shit, they don't play that take forward. Like, okay, like they don't have the rational thinking, and they just at that breaking point. And it just probably ain't that scenario too. It has to be a whole bunch of built. He's 45 years old. You mentioned that he had something that he was convicted for the felony of beating up his girl.
Yeah, beating up his girl. Yep.
So there's a lifetime of stuff, and this is the time that he was just like, I had enough. I don't even care. He's not in touch with reality no more. And the thing too, I don't know if they were like interns or I think they were interns or something. What the hell were they doing in the room when you're about to fire somebody? That just doesn't seem like that could have been another thing that triggered him, where he might have been able to get up and walk away. Like, why are these young? Because these were young kids. They were young. You looked at pictures. I seen the pictures. They were probably like 21, 22 years old college kids that were probably sitting in there while this guy's giving them the riot act, telling them what's about to happen. And he's probably looking around like, why are these guys in here on something that's going to affect my life so big? And they're just like interns. They don't even work here.
Yeah, well, it's actually only one of them was an intern.
One of them, okay.
Yeah, according to the Washington Post, only one of them was an intern, and then I'm guessing the one of them would have been the boss, and then there was an intern in the room, 2 people that were in there for sure that worked there, and then there were 2 other people that worked there close by, which is sad because I mean, I can understand why you might bring in an intern into like a meeting for like a firing, because if you're someone who's gonna be working in like management, like for like business management, that might be something you have to do is the termination of an employee or whatever. I mean, they do that at Sheets and like all these other places all the time, where like you do an interview.
Yeah, for like witnesses and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think that's one of the things you would do for, like, I don't know. I don't know how far it goes. I don't know how they thought of this guy. Was there any red flags? It's just something like, so now they're probably gonna have to do it like how they do judges, like how we're doing this right now. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to get a Skype call to tell you you're fired, bro.
Yeah, like, hey, you're fired, like, just to be safe. Well, I mean, even then, you know, got to worry about the dude showing up again or something, breaking indoors. But, you know, I think for the intern, it's just it's the idea of like 9/11 and that guy that got killed by that meteor falling out of the sky. You're just the wrong place, the wrong time.
Right.
You had no, you're literally there and you had no idea that this guy was capable of that, and it just turned out that way, and it's so awful.
And I just want to see, and now too is like, as far as I had this conversation with one of my mentors, and we were like it's accountability, like two things too. Like you keep seeing those pictures, and this is the power of the social media and how crazy it gets, because of course people are saying, like, when you hear President Trump and the temperature of how he says things, and points it at like the wall, that's where our issue is at. All these people are coming in, and then you have the far leftists that are just showing the people that are shooting up schools to just be, the majority of them are white, yes, but now you have, this is like what, four or five in the last couple of years that have been black people too. So it's accountability to our culture too, because it's just not affecting anything. And I think this has to do with something we talked about before too. Like in our culture, our men in the black culture, our men are not going to face their I'm not going to say they're not going to, but the majority of them are not going to go get help for their mental problems or admit that they have those mental problems. Mm-hmm. It's a big thing in the black community that we don't go get the proper help that we're supposed to get. And I'm thinking like it's accountability time, because it's not only the crazy white dude or the crazy white kid that's shooting up the school. It is in our community.
Yeah, it's just, it's not a race thing anymore. It's crazy people. It's just there are crazy people in this world, you know. And I think we're getting more byproducts of this from the society we live in. You know, it's creating more of these crazy people for sure.
Right.
And if that's all you have on this, I would like to move on to our crazy guy today.
Oh yeah, I don't even get that, what that's about. Like how he can even be represented. Go ahead and jump into it, because it's your thing.
Yeah, so I'll bring up a picture of his face here. This is the gentleman we're talking about today. This is Mr. Eric Field. What was it? Not Peter. I want to say it was Peter. Not Peterfield. Copperfield. Oh God, why did I forget his name? It's let me look up a source real quick, just double check. Eric Porterfield, that's it. Okay, cool. All right, so we're talking about Eric Porterfield. So this guy, I mean, all right, so let's just talk about him, you know, from an unbiased perspective for just a second. Okay, so this guy's blind. That's why he has this look on his face. He went blind in 2006. He started Blind Faith Ministries, which is his nonprofit, which he goes to like all kinds of countries down in Kenya, goes down in South Africa, and, you know, he goes and he preaches the Bible to people. And then also, what else? I think this was his first office he ran for. He's a delegate in West Virginia. He ran. I'm pretty sure this was his first election. I'm pretty sure. If I went to go, I'm gonna go double check my facts here on Ballotpedia. If you guys would want to double check and look at this guy, it's on Ballotpedia. That's where I'm looking up some of this information. He's representing District 27, and. Yeah, it was the 2018 election. Yeah, so he literally just got in last year as their delegate, coach.
What is a delegate anyway? I don't even know what that means.
So I'm assuming just like how, okay, so you know, we talk about the Electoral College and various things like that, right? So when we talk about the Electoral College and also all kinds of voting things, delegates are like kind of like the people that you pick to represent your area. You know, because like, you know how like voting districts are broken up into, you know, like different zones, different districts, you know, gerrymandering, we talk about that. Well, that's what it is like he's assigned a particular district, right? So all the people in that area vote, and then he is the one that carries your vote to the, you know, the state representation for like your representatives and everything. Says, this is what my district wants. This is what my district wants. He's the guy who's supposed to represent your district. He's a delegate.
So he doesn't really like have any power. He's just like the flunky.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because he still represents your, because there's 3 seats in each district. So there's him, there's probably some other guy and some other guy. They might have conflicting viewpoints. They don't all have to be conservatives. They don't have to be Democrats either. So he's like, there's 3 people to keep it balanced for the district, right? And they're just there to represent the people of that district. and make sure their concerns and everything are heard with like the state representatives, like your I don't know, like what, like people that are in the Senate and stuff like that. That's what they
So
are.
they're okay. So he's pretty much just like an errand boy to give them information.
He's the errand boy. He would be the errand boy of the people of that district because
Right,
he's
and it just to take it to the main represent of that whole whatever it is district or whatever the overall of it that's in Congress.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, he's pretty much the piss boy. Like, give us the information. He's doing all the legwork down there, and then just come give us the information.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So at the local level, he's a lot more powerful. But at like the state level, he's a lot weaker. You know what I mean? Like he's small fish. Small fish.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
But so we've established all the things that he is. So the reason why we're talking about Mr. Eric today is because our guy Eric is to me a piece of shit. He's not a good person because he's out here spewing things about the LGBTQ, and he's saying that they are like the KKK, and then you have he's talking about we'll get into that later. I'm not going to open that can of worms just yet, but he's saying that they're like the KKK. So Coach, what do you think about do you think the LGBTQ are the KKK?
Like, what I'm trying to understand what
The
he's saying. No,
like,
they're not like
the social movement for the rights of lesbian, gays, transgenders,
no,
etc.
I know what I know that, but they're not no, it's a different total thing where you have extreme people that are probably doing some crazy shit that overstepping their bounds, but they're not overall meeting and putting fear into people. They do there's a strong sense in the gay community, like you're gonna have different parts just like you do of Democrats and anything that you got that's in a big group of people. That's why you can't group. You got to take everybody by individuals, like we talked about with extremists, with religion and stuff. You're going to have people that are going to extremely do things and push it over the top. So he's probably had a bad encounter, and he's just putting that all on the whole LGBTQ community. So I don't think that it's nowhere near that. You're going to have some strong views from it, and they are going to be, just like you got strong views from the left and you got strong views from the right, and those people, not all those people connected to that are with the fighting and the militant and the push and push back, but you got that in the LGBT community too, because they have to be accountable too for the people that are doing the things that could be pointed at and said something like that, but it's nowhere near the KKK.
Okay, yeah, no. I no, that's what I totally agree with you. You almost made my point for me that it's not all the individuals of the LGBT that are the problem or whatever. I mean, there might be the one that's the crazy one that's saying who's making
there's some crazy
claims,
but there's crazy people in every group, bro.
Yeah, but it's not that's them. That is there's not people at the top of who are leading that movement saying this is what we need to do, because they know if they go around saying like you need to threatening people to respect gays and lesbians and bis and transgender people, they're not going to get anywhere, because everybody's going to be like, well, I don't even like you now because now you're threatening to hurt me or kill me or whatever.
Oh, it happens, trust me. It happens where there's people that are that militant with it. There's different sectors, and then there's sectors inside the sector. They might come together and be at like a gay parade, and they're all representing the community, but you're going to have the more militant ones in their group across there, and these guys are interbeefing. So there's people that are militant, but we're not going to say they're doing crazy things like burning, like crosses in people's yards and you know what I mean? The KKK, if they could still do that, they would do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
If they could get away with that, they would still be doing that. And it's nothing like that. They're just getting, organized with things and trying to figure out how to keep it and work to get to where they're going. Like you said, you don't want to push yourself out where nobody will sit down and have those conversations that are needed to have.
Right, because like I said, you're not going to get anybody to listen if you're trying to have people take you seriously. I mean, there are people. I mean, the guy was saying that, and this is why I want to, before I go into this, because I went and researched this dude, and I want to give him his fair shake, because I know a lot of people might be waiting for me to drop the hammer on this guy, because you know he's like a Christian evangelist and everything else, and you know, but that's not what I'm here for, because the guy he clarified for the record. He clarified. He said, I wasn't talking about homosexuals. He's like, I'm okay with gay people. He said, but I don't, the movement, the actual, you know, the LGBTQ movement, that's like, it's the biggest socialist, you know, thing in the, because then he called it socialist. So it went from the KKK, and it's like the biggest socialist thing in America, you know, and he sounds like he's kind of just put on these, like, these titles, and now he's saying, because he's being asked to resign after the statements he's made, that he needs to resign. He's been told to resign, and he's like, well, no, he's like, I'm not going to. And,
you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have to. And it's crazy is that he's making these statements, and he almost doesn't see anything wrong with them. You know?
Yeah, and that's the climate. Like, that's the climate of today's politics, bro. Where you can yesterday, before 2 years ago, what would have happened if that he would have been said that?
It would have been a wrap. I mean, but
it would have been a wrap right away. But that's where it's at right now. You can say freaking crazy shit like this and get away with it. And plus, what I'm noticing is what they're going to be running on this time to defeat, you know, to try to keep Trump in there, is they're going after the women that were put in there, and they're going after these communities and saying it's all, if you notice, everything that Trump's saying now is all about socialism.
Yep, right.
It's all, he just had his speech today about Venezuela and trying to get the Venezuela in Florida about ending socialism over there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so it's wrapped. That's their whole plan on winning the White House again, is fighting the socialism fight.
You want to know why they've done a 180 from Mexico to socialism? Because Bernie. Bernie's coming, and that is probably going to be the Democrat. So he's trying to get ahead of the game already. He's trying to instill in all of his followers before it even happens that they're saying we're against socialism. They need to make that line distinct before the next election even happens. He's drawing that line in the sand already because they want to make sure that they can create that us versus them and get that line drawn down the middle way before Bernie even sets foot on the stage in 2020.
Yeah, they want to set the stage. Like he's in, like, what, think about it like this, like when they go to campaign to get to where they're going, right? Doesn't it start probably around this time, around 2 years before? So before, that's when like how Trump got to where he's at right now. They started with their, okay, we're focused. We know what to focus on. We started to see the numbers and what people were saying. And this is how we're going to win, is talking about immigration, the wall, all this stuff. So that's all they're doing, is setting that up right now. And they have perfect targets with AOC. And then now that Bernie's announcing, what you said, he's probably going to be that candidate. And now there's that the women, and they're going to target those women that, you know, that were in the State of the Union, that were all dressed in white, and they're targeting them. They're going to use them as the targets in the whole socialist thing. Oh. So they're getting in front of it, like you said.
Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, as soon as you hear that, you know that's the plan, right? And that's what I'm thinking too. Is like now we have all these people talking about these social. I mean, I think that's what we're gonna hear. That's the new theme we're gonna hear from not just the up at the top, but all of the conservatives all the way down to the bottom. You know, the delegates like this guy. They're going to talk about. That's what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about socialism.
Yeah, they're going to try to keep. They're going to keep the same format and say, "Hey, we're not going to win the majority, but we're going to go back to the. We're going to rile up the ones that we won and keep those numbers because that's what we won on. So we're going to rile them up with this rhetoric and hope that we can keep them numbers." But in saying that, I know we're talking about this dude, but just a quick question on off. It's not really off the topic, but I think he's being used for that. I think he had a phone call that said, "Hey, go ahead and run your mouth. This is what we're doing." He's probably been known to do that out of the public eye, and they say he's the perfect guy to get this going, and because we're talking about it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So. And they said, go ahead and let him go ahead and talk and say the things that he's saying, because that's what they're doing. do we think like and I think there's kind of like a little panic mode. So this shit's gonna get crazy here in the next couple of years.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
I think it's panic mode because I don't he knows that even his own party is like, we might be better off just getting this jerk off out of here because it's not looking good for what's going on and probably their future plans. And he's probably seeing the support of what he really has. And if they find the right candidate, they'll get him out of the way.
What are you asking me? You said you had a question for me that was a little off topic. What was the question?
Like, do we think that like the his own party, the Republican Party, is there a big number in there that's going to be like, we need to get him out of the way
Are we
right
talking about
now?
Trump, or are we talking about our guy Porterfield?
Trump.
Trump.
Trump. I just think he's part
No,
of the piece.
they're gonna ride him to the wheels fall off because they've
But
got
they're
some.
not getting it. I don't think they're getting anything done they want done. You think?
I think they are, but we just don't see all the stuff that they're getting, you know.
Okay.
And I think
That's
too,
probably,
they've gotten a president that they've gotten such a strong emotional reaction out of the masses from, that he's their go-to. I mean, it would be hard. It'd be hard to get someone that would be like, if the Republican Party threw Trump out, they would have to find somebody else equally as mongering, you know, or even more so, because they've already got this mob with pitchforks, you know. And you know, I know when most people are angry, they don't just put out the pitchfork and say, oh, you know, they don't just go, well, you know what, we should resolve our differences. No, they're going until they burn someone's house down, you know what I mean, or they go to Frankenstein's house. So, or they're gonna keep, and they'll keep walking as long as you tell them there's another Frankenstein down the road that needs you to sit outside their house and pitchfork outside of it.
yeah.
So
We'll just see. I think it's going to be like, it's going to get real ugly though, because this is showing what he's saying, and there's more to that story that you're going to tell us. The shit that he's spewing out of his mouth is what we're going to see, because mostly it was just coming from that area of the higher levels when this whole shit show started with how we said. And after that, I think I'm going to get in a little bit of that type of thing of where it goes. We'll have a quick conversation, but the whole shit show that's going on started during that campaign like 4 years ago. Now they're saying this time around, I want everybody that we need those votes from, you go ahead and say whatever the hell you want to say out in the public, to get more riled up, shit going on.
Yeah, and you know, I already know there's somebody that's going to be on that conservative party, like whenever the elections come, that around midterms, like, I mean, they're going to have one guy who's going to try to out Trump and just be off the wall bonkers. I mean, this guy could have been it.
The delegate from
this delegate for West Virginia, bro, he could have been it, you know, because he's got a look, man. I mean, because he's blind, and like I said, I'm not and that's what I mean. Like, whenever I start researching the guys, like, well, I'm not gonna make fun of this dude's appearance, although, you know, he's fucked up and he's fucking wrong, but whatever. But
God, he looks creepy. But
yeah.
I'll tell you when you get to the craziest
well,
shit.
we're about to get there. So I'm just gonna, what we're gonna do is, I have it all pulled up here. I'm gonna go grab the citation here, because I don't want to misquote nothing, right? So this is directly from a video. So this is what he was asked. He said, so a reporter asked, you have an adorable daughter and a precious son. What would happen if in a few years from now, when they are teens, young adults, they came to you and said that they think they might be gay or lesbian, right? He says, I will address my daughter first. I would take her for a pedicure. I'd take her to get her nails done, and then I could see if she could swim. And if it was my son, I would probably take him hunting. I would take him fishing and see if he could swim. And he had like this, oh my God, this almost like devilish smile, like, ugh. And the news reporter asked, "What do you mean? What do you mean? You would see if they could swim?" And he smiles, and he doesn't clarify anything. He just says, "I just want to make sure they could swim." And you know what that means. You know what that means. This dude is really saying that he would throw his kids in water and see if they would drown, or he would drown his kids if they said that they were gay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking retarded. I mean, but look at him. Can he fucking swim?
Yeah.
Look at him. He might be able to float.
He'll float. Yeah, I was gonna say he definitely would float.
whale float type shit. But you know, fuck him and his look. You can't say sick shit like that and expect somebody to understand that. Even the like, that's where this is headed to, though, bro. I'm telling you, that shit is ridiculous that you would say something like that. And
No.
my thing is though too, he didn't come out when they pressured him to say, "What do you mean?" And he won't say, "Oh, that's what I, you know what I mean." He's just giving that shit awful grin and type shit.
Yeah, but why even say it is what I'm saying.
Because that's what, just like what I said.
Why even
that's
say
where
it?
we're headed to. That's what we're headed to. If you think that's bad, I guarantee you in these next 2 years, you're gonna hear and some real fucked up shit's about to happen. It's going to. There's just no there's no way to avoid it because they want to, like you said, they want to keep that control, and the only way to do it is what to do is make the shit show bigger.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, they might even be. Well, before I go back into that conspiratory thing, I just wanted to touch on it again that this guy is a piece of garbage for saying that he would drown his kids or throw them in any puddle of water to see if they could swim just because they were gay or homosexual, you know, and just because he tried to sugarcoat it, which is even more diabolical and just downright disgusting. Because he's like, oh yeah, I'd take her out for a pedicure. It's like basically saying like, yeah, I'd take you out for your last supper and then I'd kill you, you know.
Yeah,
like that's just fucking gross.
In the fucking peanut gallery that's gonna like defend the shit is gonna say it's something. Oh, it's just one of those things you would say to your kid, like, you know. I would never say, first of all, I wouldn't use that type of like, what is your kid thinking right now when he sees that? Oh, that's just dad talking. But like, they're the peanut gallery is gonna say, oh, it's just when you say something, you know, everybody knows you're just saying it's something you're against and you don't really, but in that manner, and say that and to put your kids into it, involved, and then you involved it, just like we got done talking about weaponizing the community when we were talking about Jussie Smollett and his situation. That's what he's doing right there. He's weaponizing the community, the LGBTQ community too. He's just like piggybacking and getting them all riled up so that everybody can point the finger and say, see. And he went as far as sick into it to use his kids to do it.
Yeah. And you know what though? I from his perspective, his worldview, after reading some of his stuff, like his about his religious nonprofit and everything else. I mean, he just strikes me as the kind of guy. And like, here, I'll read you some of the things that he took a Politico survey from Ballotpedia, right? So like, I mean, if you listen to all of the random questions he answers, it's like it's all, you know, his whole life revolves around the Bible. So I can understand why he has these views sometimes on homosexuals. And he's like, okay, so it says, what's your favorite holiday? Why? Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And then he says, what is your favorite book and why? And he said, the Bible. It's true. Do you believe that it's... hold on, where was another one at? You know, I'm trying to see if I thought he had a question for gay rights and he explained why he wasn't about them. But his big talking points, this is what he said. His big things, if elected, his top 3 priorities are protect the First, Second Amendment, economics and jobs, and lower taxes. Oh, hold on, just one little fun thing for you. It was he was asked what was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to him on a date or whatever, and he said none of your business.
Yeah, it's probably some weird shit.
Yeah, he's like none of your business. So
I guarantee that's weird. Now we need to find out though. That could be our job. We can go find some embarrassing shit that happened to him and use it.
Yeah, right. Go clown him, and then we could just sell that information off. Like, hey, we figured out what this is all about. I'm sure somebody knows. I'm just saying that I can see why he has the views that he does, and it's just sick, you know?
Yeah, he's a peon though. He's one of those fucking peons that it doesn't have no. He's a plant for them to say, hey, it's time to go get this. They're trying to, like you said, get out in front, and they said, hey, this fucking idiot right here will do whatever we tell him. Go say this.
Right? Yeah.
I guarantee.
Oh yeah, I guarantee what they're doing now, because it's coming, is they're testing the waters. They're seeing, okay, what can we say? What's the outward?
Get away with.
They're not trying to see what they can get away with, because they already know they're going to get fired. What they're seeing is, are people still acting? Are these receiving our message? Are attacks the same way? If you think about it like that, like they're seeing if like their mob is still angry enough to keep going with
they're
it.
gathering analytics
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So you say,
the
hey, dude,
old-fashioned way.
yeah, even if this guy wasn't being told to do it, like he's just like this, right? Which I could totally believe. Just listening to how this guy talks, I could totally believe that he is just this way. But you know, the conservatives at the top that, like, you know, I wouldn't even say the conservatives, because there are good conservatives out there, you know. And I don't believe in the label system, you know. I just believe in the spectrum. And I'm saying the people that are in that Trump administration, that are riding the Trump train, that are in that political circle, they're checking the waters right now. When they see shit like this, they're checking to see how are people reacting to it, and, you know, are people defending him? That's what they're looking to see, and who's defending him.
Yeah, they're looking for the numbers. It's everything is being there's a team of people that are on here looking at these scenarios. They're planting some of these scenarios. They're look when something pops up and they're like, "Oh, great, we can get analytics off of this." Yeah, that's all it is. And then they're saying, "Oh, this look at the reaction they're getting from our base. Let's go ahead and use this." So that's like the shit show, bro. Get some tickets because it's gonna be a big one.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna keep going and going and going and going and going, and then they're gonna push it to the end word. I mean, last time there was a lot of like, oh my, a shock value, but the shock value is gone. Now you have people that are mobilizing themselves to prepare for, oh my God, because there was no preparation for that, what we've seen coming when it started with this shit. And that's kind of something I want to sit down and talk to somebody that does that, maybe off camera, that is actually in the politics things, or if they want to do it on camera and see, you know, like if they're running for something, and see what their values are, like how far will they go? Because it's like a fight. Like, you're not going to use, you know how, you know, you try to, like, using his religion, you want to turn your cheek and still be good, but you're fighting somebody that doesn't have no morals. So they're going to bite your balls or anything to win the fight. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to combat that? That's why we're in the position we're right now, because people are pointing out this is what's happening. These are the people saying, look, but they're not mobilizing and showing solutions to get the people that might be on the fence and just don't have no clue of, oh, I got to go with this because I'm not seeing anything else from over here. So it brings to the thing that I wanted to get on right now, because you're right. The dude's a fucking douchebag. You can't, it just doesn't make any sense what he said. The only thing that I could say is he couldn't have had I don't know if he had some kind of fucking brain fart or something like that. But to me, what I read, what I looked at, I seen that they told him the shit that you talk about when the camera's off in our back rooms, we're going to need you to put that out in the public to support our cause and what we're doing. If we win again, this is what you'll get. That's what it seems like to me. But he's just a douchebag. But in saying that is like, for instance, like what we talked about before, like the base of the things. Are we in the politics that are going on today and how, you know, shit is coming out? You had, you know, people can come out and say that they smoked weed, and they, you know, you can go to the lesser, you know, sites that you are like interviews with people that are like off of the politician, like before this stuff happened with Trump. Are we saying we're in that type of water where like it'd be okay for like if the Democrats came out with the same type of tactics attacking, basically using the same type of rhetoric, but just attacking that type of city? Like maybe they could just say, you guys are, you know, just come out and saying all your voters and just pick something out and then get people all riled up about that. Are we saying that's what the temperature of what politics is going to be from now on?
I don't think it's going to be from now on, but it's going to be like that for a while.
For a while,
I think, because eventually, I mean, all storms run out of rain, you know. But I'm saying though, the problem is that if you can keep manipulating the people that are on the fence and off the fence and on the left and on the right enough, you know, I mean, you can keep this going for a while, you know, until what will probably happen is, because usually it's funny is there's a lot of like funny, not funny, but stories about, like, if you look at the cycle of like history, like the world works in like 100-year cycles where like there's a great tragedy, and then, you know, because it's like there's a great tragedy, and then the world, everybody in that country or whatever works together to fix it, and then everybody's getting along, but then this kind of shit starts happening, right? And then it keeps escalating till there's a great tragedy or a war or whatever, and then after it's all said and done, we all get together, we rebuild, and then we're back in the same cycle again, because then everything just escalates and escalates and escalates after we're done, because like we all just start hating each other, or tensions start rising, you know, because now that we're not focused on, you know, a common goal or immediate common issue, we all just, you know, deteriorate because, you know, for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think it's like, and we don't. It's got to be, if it keeps happening over and over, that is not just some kind of thing. That's some kind of like planned thing. So another thing too, like, okay, so we're looking at this like we're starting to notice people that were just like crazy denouncing Trump and all that are starting to see the policies, that some of the things like you just said that are getting done that they want done, and some things that even the Democrats won't admit. Like, I look at things and I mention the things that he does do right that I totally agree with. Are we saying that it's okay, like me saying, like, that's a question when I say that, I'm asking anybody out there that's listening or commenting, or you too, is like, can a person lead that you don't respect, that you don't agree with the way he's doing the things, the way he's attacking and all that stuff, but he is doing things that are actually working that you want to see done in a thing? Can you support that, and can he be a leader to somebody, or are you just going to shun it because of his approach to it?
Well, my personal belief is that it doesn't come down to respect, because, you know, there are people out there that don't respect things, and they don't even understand why they don't respect it, because of some way they were taught, or, you know. So to me, it doesn't come down to respect, and it might, yeah, it definitely comes down to how they obtain their goal, right? Because if it's to a good cause, because usually that's what a leader should be doing, is trying to, for the betterment of society as a whole. But if you're worsening other parts of society in exchange for your goal to move something forward, right? Like, say, like you're saying, like, oh, like for instance, the Trump situation with the Mexicans, you know, like in the border wall. So you're trying to better America, and you don't want, you know, them taking tax dollars and, you know, taking American jobs and whatever. Okay, fine, like that's your argument, right? So instead of like saying like, okay, so let's make ways that we can either make this process easier for them to get in here, right? So they could come in here and work, or up our security with like you know, with like either at the border, or you know, think of other situations where we could find them easier, or, you know, like we've already talked about, penalize the businesses that hire them. Then, you know, which we could consider those things, right? Just because we're like, these people are being brought in here illegally, and we need to think of other ways to do it besides building a giant wall, you know, around the country, you know. And I don't think that betters. I don't think that wall. This point is just to make my point about what I said about how you go about doing things. I don't think that wall is for the betterment of society and, you know, the perpetuation of humanity. What it is basically saying, we have identified ourselves as this nation, and you are this nation. We want nothing to do with you, even though we're all, you know, human, you know. So like, here, just take this wall's here. You are now these people, and we are these people. We have no association. And you could get in here legally, that's fine, but it might take you 3 or 4 years, especially if you're in a country where there's no opportunity, or you're in a place where there's no opportunity, and your family, you know, is, you know, at the mercy of cartels or what have you.
Yeah, I don't even think it has anything, me personally, to do with like, it's not we don't want you, like like we're just shutting off all of Mexico and what they're saying it for. To me, it's like it's another prop for the, like, to get the votes done, but to more importantly, the more steam it took and he's seen it got the votes, it's an ego thing for him. That is more important to him than anything. You can see how he sits up there and snarks and says the thing. It's an ego thing to him. Like, look, I got a wall built. I'm going to go down in history. I built a wall in Mexico. That's the most important thing right there. And the second even comes to the voters. He knows that's a good thing that he's like, if he keeps fight, they're gonna keep saying, yeah, wall, wall, chat, wall, wall. They're gonna do that as long as he keeps saying it. But in his brain, he's so egotistical that he is saying, oh my God, I'm gonna get a wall. Because that's how he makes his money. People don't understand this. Trump is not a businessman. He sells his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. So the more he immortalizes himself in this country with things like that, things that'll stand the test of time for a while. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I agree.
It's number one. You could see the sociopath in him. It's number one to him.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm not, what I was using that example to illustrate whenever I was talking about it was that, you know, like not just any politician, not just Donald Trump, but any politician. It's not, for me, it's not about respect. It's about how are you trying to go about, because you can be the president and you know, I mean, anybody can disrespect you or not respect you. That's fine. Even I did not like you. But if you're doing stuff to better society in the best, going about the best possible manner there is to go about it, you know, in tough issues, then I just have to shrug my shoulders and eat a bag of shit. You know what I mean? Like I have to say, well, he's our leader. He's doing good things, and you know, like even if I don't like him or respect him, you know, because maybe something he did in his past or you know how I perceive him, then you know I can't say nothing about it. You know.
Right. I think it's more the cancel part too. Like, are you looking at it? Because that's how I'm looking at it until I looked into it and I started seeing the things that I said, yeah, that's good. Like the prison reform and the thing, you know what I mean?
Veteran stuff. Yeah, we look at Donald Trump and say those are good.
The things that I see that good and some of the things that you know about like some of the welfare reform that they're saying, I just think that the approach of saying it and like pretty much getting people to walk around and say to people the way he's saying it and people are saying it's right to want to do that, but if your approach is I'm going to get it done by being a fucking dickhead and have my people walk around here that are going to support me, pointing at people and saying you're a piece of shit because of this, you get out of it and all that shit, even if it's something that I say that should be done, the approach of it is not good. And that's the question that I'm asking is like, is it, I say in my brain, I say, yeah, I like this. I think this should be done. But if you're, and we had that conversation, we're getting fucked no matter what. How do you want to get fucked? That's the question. That's just all it is. How do you want to get fucked? You want to get talked gently to before you get fucked? You just want to get fucked. You know what I mean? So that's how it's that's what it is. And I think that if you're getting the people riled up to do like to get what you want done, even though I think it's okay, I mean, I don't see myself saying that I would would it cancel out some of the things because you can't get past that. And you might, some of the people that could say, hey, you could, if you calm down, maybe people would be behind you more and it gets your ego up a little more. If you did a different little approach and looked at this, you might get a whole bunch of this side because some of the policies you're saying is what people really want. They think that it should be done, but you're being such a fucking slime ball about it that they don't even get to see that. They just get to see the fucking negative shit every day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But there's also, I mean, because that's the thing, we see the negative shit, you and I. But there's people out there that will ignore that negative shit, and they will only see the good things Donald Trump does, and they will even see the bad thing Donald Trump does as good things.
Right. You know? Like, he was true. He could shoot somebody. And people would be like, oh, he deserved it.
Yeah, he deserved it, you know. Or but I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, like, you know, the what was it? The tariffs on China that we had, and everybody was like, yeah, that'll teach China. And then it started screwing up all kinds of things because we were like, we got a lot of metal from China, and because all those import taxes and everything, it was like, it was ridiculous. And it backfired.
Yeah, and they didn't think it would be a long-term thing. Yeah. They thought it was just automatically going to be like, everything's great. And now it goes to, it's the next phase of it. Like when you write on a board, you have phases of your plan. First plan is say, hey, this is what we're going to do, but we're not going to tell them until it gets all riled up. Like, oh, shit, they start to really see what happens. And then it's like, oh, but we didn't tell you that this would, you just be strong, Americans. It'll get to that point. I mean, it would be something that it's going to go either way. And I think China doesn't really give rat dick. Whatever they have going on that we don't know about in those meetings, I think they'll just play with that shit for the rest of the time. Well, it's just another one, huh?
Well, I was going to say the reason why China doesn't give rat dick is because they're at the head of the means of production. I mean, they have the largest workforce in the world, and they are, I mean, they are like, all their factories and everything are producing all the dumb shit that the world buys, you know, for the most part. So
Right.
if they're out doing that, you know, I mean, they own the means of production, not all the means of production, but they own a vast majority of the means of production. And, you know, which a lot of people here in America complain there are no jobs, and they're opening up the factories and everything, which is great, you know, because I mean, I understand people working at factories and everything. That's fine. You need jobs. You need to pay for your family, sustain, all that. I get it. But whenever you start exporting those jobs over there, right, to those countries get a lot of power, because it's not just America that's sending our businesses, the corporations over there to go get shit built. It's Germany asking Chinese companies to factories to build their product. It's Russia, it's whoever doing trade asking China to build their stuff. So when you have that many factories going on and that many means of that many things being produced out of one country, the world's supply of mostly I'm not saying all, but most of the meaningless shit like the toys and doodads and gadgets and whatnots are being produced over there, you know?
Right. It'll make them strong, definitely. It'll make them strong if people are dependent on that, and that's what they're contributing to the world, and getting their power. That would be their power. And the thing is, though, like, in saying that, like, what they're really saying is, okay, yeah, we could bring, but are we really seeing that if we do all this, and how long it'll take, and how long everything will take to do this stuff, and the price that we're actually going to pay as us, it's not going to really affect us for years down the line, that it could be something good for the American people, because it'll slowly happen. But it's the thing that it's affecting is the rich cronies. They're getting all the money when those tariffs, you know, they're going to be on the front end getting all the money, and the trickle down effect that we all know doesn't work. It won't happen for Americans. And like we had that conversation before, if you don't stick at something, and you can't stick at something if every 8 years that person that started that, like how we talked about, like he just came in and tore everything down because it had Obama's name on it. So it just ruined any kind of momentum. Instead of saying, hey, this was pretty good, let's keep that and build on that, and then let's add this, that what he didn't do, and then I think this would help this do that, and to have that going for on and on and on. And now even if he does make it to 8 years, there's not going to be no big effect. It could be on the way. If he got everything done that he wanted to, go on the way, but it's damn sure going to make the people in front money ASAP.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's whenever you have those changing seats, the point of the system we have is so that a new perspective can get in office, or not just in the presidential office, any office in politics. That's what we're supposed to have. So we can get that new influence who's going to say, okay, these are the things we need to focus on now. And they're going to say, we're going to keep the good things that this person did, but maybe some Americans don't agree with these things that they did.
Yeah.
So let's take that, build off it, and then throw whatever else rubbish or leftover in the trash, and I'll do what I like, what the American people want. But that's not how it works. It's, you know, it's a BS.
It's not. But the funny thing, though, is that that's how it works in Congress. They don't have no fucking point and period where they can be there. All they got to do is keep winning when it's time for them to get voted in. That's all they got to keep doing.
A lot of them don't even run opposed. They don't even have opponents against them.
You're right.
Crazy.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, because just like right now, if like you think about it, you know, the only way that he's going to get things done that he needs done or he wants done to get that, like when he uses there's always an answer for it, and it comes from the Congress. They can do pretty much what they want. When they could tie up this thing, he says, okay, I'm vetoing, I'm doing this to get the money for the wall through this. Oh, we'll just take you to court. Tie it up in court for years.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we could talk about the state of emergency too. I mean, that's just, you know, I don't think it's an emergency to get something built. I can understand if it was like an actual emergency, but what they're saying is like, well, Obama considered certain things a state of emergency, which I just think, you know, but I mean, the government states declare state of emergency for winter storms and stuff like that. Like that, to me, that's an emergency. But I'm saying like building a wall is not like an emergency. It's like, I mean, for taxpayers, it's a damn luxury, you know. Like you're paying for some kind of.
And if it was something that we were saying like correct, instead of weaponizing the issue, if it like you said, if the approach to it kind of turns everybody off, I don't even, but I just don't see, like, it doesn't make any sense to me that something that, like, it's not, I don't think it's that big of an effect if you did the numbers and you really had the true numbers of the actual crime and how much it really dents the community, because you got to take the jobs off the table, because they're not taking fucking American, they're taking the jobs that Americans don't want to do, period. It's just that simple. It's not fucking high paying jobs that people can't get because of what's happening. And as far as I get the tax part, like they're getting paid under the table, but that goes back to the fucking company that's hiring them. No supply, no demand. Start attacking that. If you're truly thinking about that, you would go after the companies that are doing it, the enemy within, stuff like that. So there's a bigger picture that we don't even understand, because we're just getting the information, which we talk about is the information for us to just look like idiots and focus on, when there's always a backdoor plan, like a fake reverse or something. And I always pertain things to football because that's, what I do.
It's a double reverse.
It's a double fucking reverse. You can fake people out. But in saying that is
flea flicker. They think it's a run, they just back it right up and then do a pass.
And you got them. And when I was saying that is saying, like, can you let a person lead that, like, does that and I'll equate it to football. Like, I've had a lot of players that couldn't fucking stand me and the approach that I had to the things, because how the discipline part of it, or the way when I say, if you want to win, this is what we're going to have to do. Like, you'll hear people that won Super Bowl, like, I don't even think Tom Brady likes fucking Bill Belichick, but he respects what he does, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So he's good. You're getting the job done. But tonight, I'm not. After I leave this football field, I fucking go home and bitch to my wife about you 24/7. I can't stand that fucking dude. You know what I mean? But he's getting the job done, the goal that you want done, and that's, like, that's what I look at it as, is like, can people sit back and just allow that to happen, like, over and over? Like, can you just say, okay, he's getting some of these things done. These things are okay. We want these things. We want these things. But we just can't get past it. We can't stand this motherfucker, yo. We can't stand this motherfucker. He's just the approach of it. So I just don't. And to me, that's why I kind of like just look at it like, I mean, you're in this point. Instead of keep pointing out the solution, because that's how it got to this point anyway. That's all that happened last election. They kept pointing and say, look, you want this guy in here, but they weren't showing no solutions. You're pointing out the problem, but you weren't bringing no solutions to the table for people to be like, oh, okay. So it's just one of those things, bro. It needs to, like, people need to realize, like, what are you going to take if you see the goal and it's something. Are you going to take what's coming with it to get it done?
Yeah, I get what you mean. And I think, too, what it comes down to is rational thinking about a situation. Like, because I think a lot of people are like, well, yeah, if we build a wall or whatever, people aren't going to come in, or any political move. And you got to look at it, like, from a lot. Now, like, hold on for a second. You got to go, all right, why are they coming here? You got to think about that first, because before you even build a wall, right? Because you got to get rid of the reason why they're even coming here in the first place, like, illegally.
Right?
How are they coming here illegally? Why are they coming here illegally? Because they, like, again, we said it so many times. There's only one way that they could have come. There's only one reason why, and that's because someone's got something they need over here, and they're risking it to get here illegally. And once they get to where they need to go, or meet whoever they have to meet in here, they're set. Until they get found out.
Right. Yeah, and even in that particular point, until this time, it wasn't that crazy deal, because illegals would be stopped all the time, bro. And if it wasn't anything, if the police got them and it wasn't something where they thought this person was a threat, they're letting you go.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal in that manner. They were looking at that as an information gathering thing and say, hey, you got to do what is asked of you if you want to stay here. You know what I mean? But now it's just turning into a frenzy, and I don't see that. Like, I think it devalues what we stand for as Americans to put a fucking wall up, bro. It really does. To me,
No,
personally.
I agree. I
I
totally
just,
agree. I think
I
it.
just think it makes us look fucking like weak and like saying like a wall. And somebody made a fucking great conclusion on that, or a conclusion. It pointed something out that I never really thought about it, because you think about it, they're trying to separate, like it isn't a, like elitist, like rich, like power type thing, because gated community, we have those in our own country that are gated communities where people that are in these communities don't even see things. I think I mentioned that with the owner of the 76ers. He said he did not understand anything. He thought it was just one big excuse about how the system went, like Meek Mill's situation with the court system. He thought it was just people talking, just using it as an excuse, until he seen it and went and got involved in it and said, "Holy fuck." And this is a rich, powerful man that's in a gated community, like how we say about Kanye West, that's
Mhm.
out of touch with the neighborhood because he's not in there no more. He's in his gated community, fucking doing weird shit and just living in that world. So it's very easy for people to turn off their heart, their hearts, and because they don't know, they don't experience it. And then that is like the symbol of what the wall means to people that are in the inner city, because you're getting walled off. You're getting walled off from gated community. You can't live in this community. You can't walk. You can't even walk. If you walk by this community, you're going to be pointed out as public enemy number one. People are going to investigate you, and people are up in these communities looking down at everybody else and so out of touch with what is really going on. That's what a wall symbols to me. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think a wall symbols isolation, and it also exclusion at the same time, because all a wall tells you about somebody is that they choose to isolate themselves. They choose to be an enemy, or they choose to be away from everything, the rest of the world. They choose to put themselves above themselves. That's what I think of a wall when I think of a wall.
yeah.
But
And I think all patriotism, like if you're a patriot, there's no, and I just have this with a whole bunch of people that actually go and fight for this country, been in war, been knows both sides of what things are going on, and thinking like with common sense that is not patriotism. That's not.
no,
It's not. It's not what they do. It's not what they get up, made a choice, and go fight wars about. Is to say, hey, so we can put up a wall and separate from what the Constitution says, what it says on, you know what I mean? Bring us your all this type stuff. Granted, I believe in that. You should, if you're here, you should be here legally. If you're caught, catch and release. Grab them. You shouldn't be sitting in some tank. It shouldn't take that long. Putting you in a camp, and like a FEMA fucking camp, doesn't take that long to get your information. Take those pictures of those tattoos if you're in a gang, and get them the fuck out of here.
yeah,
It's that simple.
right. And I was gonna say too, just like how me and you were talking about gun laws earlier, I think it should be the same exact approach. Just instead of segregation, documentation, right? Instead of saying you no longer have the right, what I mean, no one now, nobody has the right to own a gun, right? Just like the same way saying like get them in here, say, and make the process expedient. Say, hey, what's your name? You know what I mean? Like, get pictures, get names, right? I mean, how with the social media we live in, you can learn about everything about a person in 10 minutes if you look at it that way. Granted, I understand that maybe that's not the most convincing process, but you could go get those public records and then be done and say, all right, you're in. You know what I mean? It's that quick, because the minute they do something, you have their record, you got everything that you need to know about a person.
And why not find that, like, say, okay, like, I believe in that too. I believe in, like, okay, if you're coming over here, there's going to be a contribution. Those jobs that people don't want to do. And now you got to say to those rich companies that keep draining us, they're draining us, these that are getting all these taxes off our backs, getting rich as fuck off the hard work, to say, hey, you're gonna have to, this is something, you're getting all these tax breaks, you're getting rich, and you're saying these are programs for people. We're gonna get them in here doing legal things and paying taxes if that's where they want to come, and they pass to get in here at that particular time. We're not doing those jobs here, but you're gonna pay for these type of things. You know what I mean? You're not just going to keep getting rich, because the people that are getting the breaks are using these illegals.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's supply. It's very simple. It's supply. If there's no supply, there won't be. If there's no demand, there won't be no supply. I mean, if there's no supply, there won't be no demand. There won't if the countries if they went after these rich fucking countries that are making the millions off of using these illegals and avoid paying the reason why they use them, it went after them and they stopped doing it, it would be a crazy decrease of people.
Oh, for sure.
Crazy decrease.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense, is what I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was the final point I was gonna say. Is just it's the rational thing. People nowadays, we really, like we said about doing your own research. You gotta really think about this stuff. I mean, and really, once you really think about it, like the way me and Coach kind of explained it, where you don't look at like the problem, you look for why there is a problem. You start there instead of saying, oh, this is a problem. You don't say, oh, this is a problem, and then you just think of the first Band-Aid thing you could put on it. You go, okay, why is there a problem? And then start from there. And that's usually how it's a lot easier to it's more productive to fix a problem that way than starting, with just saying there's a problem.
Right. Short-term goals to get to the long-term goals. And like you mentioned the thing, and that's the way things are wrapped up, but that doesn't make any sense to me, because Congress doesn't have it, and they're the ones in there that are lobbying and getting things the way they want it anyway. That guy is just in the way. So the 8 years, they just figure out a way to shift the power and play that little game that's played, and then the things that could have been great from maybe 2 presidents ago, if it was stuck to and didn't get torn down, it got built up. You know what I mean? Unless it didn't work. And and that happens a lot. Decisions made and it just didn't work. And if they looked at did the input and said, hey, well, maybe if it went on for 4 more years, that program or how we did these things, it shows that it'll work. Maybe we should build on that type things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
all right, Coach. I have to get out of here. There is some Taco Bell awaiting me.
Yeah. No, you're going to the You're going to the border.
Well, I'm not going to Taco Bell.
You're going to the border. I'm saying.
Mom said she's bringing the Taco Bell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What did you say? Hold on. What did you say before I said that?
What?
I said I was going to the Taco Bell. You were like, you made a joke. I forget. I didn't hear what you said.
Going to the border.
Oh, go to the border. Yeah. Go to Del Taco.
Find that wall to get that Taco Bell, bro. That's the name. Head to the border, right?
Yeah, right.
Taco Bell.
Oh, man. All right. But again, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming out. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Also, it costs you absolutely positively nothing to share this video. We do appreciate your support. Again, do your own research. If you think we've done something wrong, or maybe you don't agree with what we said, hey, leave us a comment in the comment section. We do read the comments, and we'll correct ourselves if maybe you make something a statement that's right or correct. But as always, stay beautiful, take care of yourselves. Dev out.